Cool, cool, cool. Hey, what's up, horror fans? Welcome to a brand new episode of the Horror Bin Podcast. I'm your host, Jules Fernandez. Here we give you your horror movie night recommendations, reviews, and we figure out where all these horror movies go in our horror bargain bin. Today we got, I think one of our first acclaimed, big acclaimed movies that we're doing. Before we get to that, though, we do have our guest. Very funny comic. Just had a special out on YouTube. You can check it out after this.
Yeah, watch this first.
Watch this first, and then
make your decision.
Yeah, and then yeah. But it's Stuart Thompson, everybody. Stuart B. Thompson, everybody.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Jules.
Do you prefer the B or?
It's really more of a formality. I mean,
Mm.
I've gone by Stuart Thompson for a long time, and then I recently got to join SAG.
Oh, okay.
So
you had to.
That was those were the terms.
There was already a Stuart Thompson.
Yeah, I believe there are several. I mean, it's every third man in Scotland and every fifth woman. So there's a lot of them, and a few of them came before me in show business.
Mm.
There was actually one who he died. He was like a Broadway producer, but someone hit me up on Instagram thinking I was somehow this much older Broadway producer. Like during the
Stuart, I know you've been out of the game for a while, but I got a big hit idea.
Yeah, like basically about trying to pitch me some Broadway production, and because there was, I'm usually such like a straightforward person, partially because I respect other people's time and I respect my own time. I would have normally, if there wasn't a global pandemic, I would have said, "Hey, you've got the wrong guy." But because there was nothing to do, I was like, "Let's see how far this can go." It did not go very far, but it was. It went more than a few messages, and that's what I needed at the time.
But sir, you're thank you for being on.
Of course, thank you for having me.
We talked originally. You're not a horror fan.
Yeah,
in a broad sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always had a vivid imagination, and I'm very suggestible when it comes to imagery. So if an image gets stuck in my mind, it kind of sticks with me for a while. And early on with horror movies, or even movies that were just where there was general tension, that would stick with me for so long that like my sensitivity, it's like someone who's never had caffeine before.
Okay.
Which I used to be as well. so my sensitivity with, caffeine and horror is I'm very much a lightweight. But I think the way I've been able to get around is it feels like there's some sort of intellectual bent to it. Like, there's like a well-hatched plan, or it seems like, there's some sort of like educational or intellectual element to it. That kind of is a selling point for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you say, have you like any kind of like the recent like A24 stuff like Midsommar or
I haven't gotten into Midsommar yet, but the idea of like a horror that takes place almost exclusively in the daytime is a little more appealing to me.
Okay.
But I mean, and I do love sort of the artistry of the filming, because I'll watch a trailer from time to time to see like, could I handle this? And I think I'll watch one trailer and then YouTube will suggest, 30 other trailers for similar things. And I remember one for this movie, The Witch, came up, and it was like it's this Puritan family, mid 1600s, and they settle on some patch of land, and they're very religious in that sort of like not fun kind of way. The way the Puritans were, some of the first white people who came to this country were. There's a reason why they left. They were not wanted back.
They were not fun.
They were not. They wore buckled shoes, and they frowned. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And so,
what's your favorite pastime? Frowning?
Yeah, judging others.
judging others. Just real fearing God in everything I do at every waking moment.
Yeah, I love looking down my nose at others. So they settle in this place, and there's clearly something afoot, something that's affecting their family, and you are watching this family slowly suffer. And I mean, I think if you approach it from the perspective of like, okay, these stuffy white people are getting what's theirs, then great. go have fun.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just watching a family, regardless of where they come from, just like suffer for an hour and a half, and that that just kind of bums me out.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. I've already got plenty of like rough images in my mind based off of like being a creative person and just like the nature of the world, and I typically am looking to my visual entertainment for a sense of, at least with movies and TV, as like a sense of relief.
Yeah, like you're more of a uplifting feeling as you're looking for, as opposed to where the horror is.
Yeah.
We're gonna make your heart race.
Yeah, or at least let it be historically accurate. If it's a horror, like, okay, here's how insane Genghis Khan was.
Right.
Here's how rough, the troubles in Ireland were, and Northern Ireland, and here's how awful we as a U.S. government were in South America.
Okay.
Like, okay, this is awful, but it's like, it's true, so you should know it for your own education. You should, know your history so that you hopefully don't repeat it.
Right.
But yeah, so, I mean, if it's just like a monster that's, just terrorizing people, maybe, you know what, maybe if it was an older horror movie where it's like the visual effects are so, they're almost like bad in like a campy kind of way.
Yeah.
Maybe I could get on board.
Okay. So we're talking like old school, like Universal kind of.
Yeah, like The Blob or something like
yeah.
that. Where it's just like.
I didn't want to jump straight to The Blob, but yeah, Blob.
yeah. Oh no, the goop got me.
That was like, we would always go to these like pizzerias where like if you got enough tickets, you can get something from the prize counter or whatever. And for a long time, the thing to get was always slime. Or
was it like in a cup?
It was in like a cup. Yeah, you opened
like
it
silly
up.
putty almost.
Yes,
yeah.
Like silly putty slime.
Yeah.
You just put your hand in, makes fart noises.
Oh yeah,
it was like the best time ever.
Endless entertainment and then, from 4 to 16.
I say beyond. I have ADD. I'm sure you give me some slime or some silly putty right now. Oh, I'll have a good time for an hour.
That'd be a nice companion podcast for this. Just an ASMR.
Sure.
You're just making the cup fart.
Welcome to the Putty Podcast, everybody.
Just sit back and turn your brain off and just let the putty guide you into a meditative state.
We got a nice a strawberry putty in there.
You gotta do the high pitch one. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
The
best is if you could do it behind like an older relative.
Oh my god!
At Easter,
immediately think like, oh, that was, they just apologized. They don't even. They were just, I'm sorry, everybody. That had to have been me.
Phyllis.
Pardon.
I let one go again.
Something I was just thinking about that we were just talking just before we started recording. You're not, one of the things that you're really turned off from is any kind of big gore or violence too.
Yeah, I saw some. Again, it's the imagery thing, and I think what I love about the movie that we're going to talk about today is like there is a lot that's left to the imagination.
It's a lot of it's like a lot of it's implied violence.
Or if you are going to see it, there's enough lag time between when the concept of something awful happening or is brought into frame, but at an angle that you can't see it. You have enough time to process, oh, this is what they're looking at. Maybe there's some description for you to, I don't know, gear up for it. And that, I don't know if that was the director's choice or the writer's intention, but it helped me. It helped me enjoy it more.
Yeah.
And I think there is an artistry, and you see that even with like Psycho. You don't see the woman get stabbed. You see the blood. You see the scream, and you see the blood in black and white.
Yeah.
So it's not even red. There's not even
it's chocolate syrup.
Yeah. It could be Hershey's for all we know. But you see it roll down the drain, and you let the music kind of guide it, almost in the way that like you'd see it, the music guide a sequence in a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some artistry, and sometimes you got to bang things over the head.
Yeah.
And if that's, again, the director or the producer's intention, I'm not here to besmirch anyone of their art.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where it's really necessary to see someone get some full frontal comeuppance.
Yes.
Especially if they're a truly awful person. I'm trying to remember what movie it was, but there was a movie I saw recently where this woman was, are we allowed to curse on this?
Yeah.
There was a woman who was kind of an asshole in the movie, and it was a TV show. It was, I don't want to spoil it, but it's the show Beef.
I haven't seen it,
so
but I've heard great things. But
I won't spoil it for you, but there is a woman very vividly gets her comeuppance.
Oh, okay.
In a way that seemed a little much for the show, but the show is just ever heightening tension for 8 or 10, however many episodes there are. It's just, but it's like it's full throttle anger, just ensuing on this group of people.
Stephen Yeun and
Ali Wong.
Ali Wong, right? Okay, yeah.
And David. I want to say it's David Cho. I'm
That
forgetting.
name sounds right.
Yeah, I'm. Please don't hold me to it.
Stuart Thompson.
Yeah.
Cancel after.
Yeah, I forgot the wrong Asian actor. Yeah, it's a wonderful show, and I really enjoyed it, and it is, I think maybe as well, if there's a reality to it that I can see myself living in with these characters, I can really enjoy that. But if there's like a Batwing creature that's in the Jeepers Creepers kind of way, that's just like living in a tree
Oof.
and taking down teenagers, like I remember seeing something like that in high school, in at a friend's house, and then walking home late at night to my car, or walking home just through my sleepy little town, and then you hear a rustling in the trees, and I'm like, now I have to live like this. Now I have to live with this heightened state of paranoia. My default is already so serious, and I know it bothers people. I need levity. So, yeah, but anytime like a Get Out type of movie or an Us type of movie can make it a little funny, that also helps.
Yeah, and that was one of the other ones I was going to ask if that's around the realm that some of you'd be willing to watch, like Get Out, Us.
It took me a minute.
Yeah,
it took me a minute. I didn't see it in the theaters. I saw Us in the theaters, but that was at the behest of the person I was dating.
Right.
It's like you gotta come with us.
But I think that really show it kind of gets to what I was thinking in terms of what kind of horror horror level you'd kind of lean more towards. Because
on a scale of 1 to 10, is that like a 1?
No. That's like probably a cool 5. You know, it's like a cool 5.
Cool 5 from your great uncle. Happy birthday, kid!
Don't spend it all in one place, all right?
This is like so many gumballs.
Oh, I remember when like $10 or $20 felt like $1 billion as a kid.
Yeah, inflation's crazy.
So much candy. No, but in terms of like movies where it's like, it's not so you're not getting jump scared, or you're not jumping out of your seat from
not a fan
from it. But it's rather it's all the tension that's within the storyline itself.
Yeah, within the dynamics of the character.
Because I remember watching Get Out. There's like maybe like 2 quick jumps, like actual scares, but everything else, the entire time, I'm gripping my seat. I'm like, just somebody say boo. God damn it. Like,
is that something that you really enjoy?
That's the one. I'm a big fan of across the board. Like I love a good gore fest. I love like Midsommar, Get Out, Us. Really, like there's a lot more subtext to it than just monsters killing people.
Yeah, like we're in a creepy cultish world.
Yeah. Like it's that realistic fantasy element
Okay.
where it's like, this probably is not real, but it looks like it could be real, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. And I think there's a fine line for me enjoying that, because there's times where I was like, oh, damn it, if this is real, we're so fucked.
And that's how I used to be with zombie movies.
Oh, really?
I had terrified of zombies. I used to hate horror movies as a kid, and then just developed into loving Halloween through working haunted houses and stuff, and that was just falling back in love.
Immersing yourself in it is what got you into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got me back into it and loving it. But I remember as a kid, zombie movies, I was just like, it's going to happen any day. Like, there's one of them is going to pop up, and all it takes is one. All it takes is one for them to pop up, bite one person, and then that's how it just starts.
Yeah, George Romero told me.
He said, and then Zack Snyder said also, but a little weirdly. But he said it too. It wasn't that bad. It was all right. Dawn of the Dead. Go watch it.
It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a while. Both of them have. One of them has been longer than the other, but you guys know.
Yeah.
But that I wanted to connect to what we're talking about today, which is Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
I had the year like memorized in my head. 1991, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster, Academy Award winning film. Before we get into any other details about it, let's take a look at the trailer. Sorry for the small screen.
That's okay.
You spook easily, Starling?
Not yet, sir.
He's past the others. The last cell. I'll be watching. You'll do fine.
Very, very supportive.
He's on the loose.
Keeps them alive for 3 days. Then he shoots them, skins them, and dumps them.
A rookie FBI agent is on his trail.
He's got real physical strength, cautious, precise, and he's never impulsive. He'll never stop.
But in order to track him down, she'll have to match wits.
I really miss this voice work in trailers.
I was going to say, you did this, right?
Anthony Hopkins in a role of a lifetime.
I never forget what he is. Oh, he's a monster. Pure psychopath. So rare to capture one alive.
Speaking of someone who needs comeuppance.
Oh, Clarice, your problem is you need to get more fun out of life.
You told me you don't spook easily.
You call this easy, sir?
Lecter's missing hand arm. Man's a raving maniac. Who knows what he'll do?
Thank you, Clarice. Thank you.
Wow.
Love it.
I've never seen that trailer. It's interesting seeing how they cut it all together.
Yeah. And it gives more weight to that this does belong. It's still going. That's probably about it. It gives more weight to the idea that this belongs within the conversation of horror. Just because rewatching it, like I hadn't seen it in a long time. Rewatching it, you forget like how intense Anthony Hopkins is in it.
Intense, but like clearly like there's an elegance to his character. Like anytime Clarice visits him in his cell, he's always like his shoulders are back.
Yeah.
He's like his shirt's tucked in, because you when you see her walk through that basement
That
jail cell,
murder's row or whatever.
yeah, that sort of the crazy corner,
crazy town and prison.
yeah, she's walking past all these people who are like visibly unhinged. Whatever they're dealing with is like a level of mental illness that's been unaddressed for a long time. And then he, because, his character is a, like a former psychiatrist, like there's a, oh, I'm from the upper crust. Like that kind of, and also to appear, maybe he does it to appear approachable to her and not seem like, oh, I'm not like the others. It's a mix of that, the frightening thing going on in his mind versus how he's presenting himself.
Yeah, the level and how they build him up in terms of just how dangerous he can be, even when he's just behind a cell. it adds to that, like, we're just seeing him in a cage. What can he do when he gets out? What can he do if he tries to get out? And you start seeing like him noticing the pen, him later on, and that's what he uses to escape and everything. And when you finally do see him actually attack and be him for a sense, it's terrifying. And like you said, it has that implied violence because you never see, he beats a man to death, but you never see him actually beating. You just see him all in white.
Yeah, you're facing him.
And just slowly getting spouted with blood. And I like that. Looking it up, I like that Anthony Hopkins was the one who suggested it because they were thinking of doing like an orange or a yellow jumpsuit. And he's like, no, let's pure white.
Yeah, you need contrast.
Yeah.
And we see that contrast as well.
Excuse me.
Soon after that plan is hatched, where, you know, he's trying to plan his escape, but he's in this sort of maximum security building and he's on the top floor.
Just once again, as always, spoiler warnings across the board.
Yeah. The movie's been out for, you know,
it's been a minute. You guys
over 30 years.
Yeah,
you had time.
It's won awards. You had to have seen. Someone had to have made just watch it.
Yeah, it was on TV, like TNT kind of TV. So he has to, you know, there's a moment where you know, we see blood dripping from the top of this elevator but it's onto a white sheet. And, you know, I think there's a correlation to what we saw when the plan is hatched and when the plan is continuing to unfold. Yeah.
Seeing how every little check mark of like, wait, if that's there.
Well, it allows us, the viewer, to notice the strange thing while as the officers are noticing the strange things. So we're kind of with them. And there's a lot of camera shots where it's like, it's clearly like someone just sort of like scurrying over. It's almost like they have a camera that doesn't have zoom in capabilities. Like they're just like running a camera in on something, you know, punching in.
Oh, just manually moving over I get what you mean.
Yeah. It looks a little jerky, but like it's kind of telling you, hey, go focus on this, please. This is what you need to know right now. So I thought it was I hadn't really thought about that, having watched it many times, until I rewatched it just to be able to talk about it with you. But yeah, there's a lot of really sinister stuff that happens, but it's not necessarily like a sinister thing you're seeing. It's like, oh, what does this imply?
Right. Yeah, and like we were saying with the trailer too, like watching that, it gives a different idea of what the movie's actually going to be like, because it's not as intense as the trailer would lead you to believe.
There's moments of it,
but it, like, you know, you're thinking like, oh, he gets out like immediately, or like he's on a rampage, like,
right.
Just going off just the trailer.
Yeah. But
a large part of it is the monster behind the glass and giving that performance of like, what can he do? What could he do? And then even you go on the other side of where when they're hunting down for Buffalo Bill, still also scary menace, doing horrific things.
Yeah.
But not really like the big draw of like what makes this so tension heavy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think what really heightens the reality of it is, you know, where Buffalo Bill seems to be located, where he's committing these killings and these kidnappings, is sort of in the middle of the Rust Belt. You know, it's in Ohio and like Michigan and, you know, northern Illinois, and like it's in like the late 80s when this is happening. And you just see it kind of happening in these like towns where not a lot really happens. And it seems like there's not a lot to do in these towns. And you just kind of get this belief that like, if someone takes you, there's not necessarily a way for anyone to find you.
Right.
You know, you could just be disappeared.
Yep.
And it really kind of highlights like,
I don't go camping.
There you go. I mean,
really
yeah, it it's like, okay, this is just something that could happen in any town USA.
Mm-hmm.
I think that really kind of lays in the existential horror of it.
Yeah, and then I mean, plus taking place in like the 80s and 90s and everything. That's pretty much where we started having in the real world, where we started having like a lot of serial killers start popping up. Where like you had Bundy, Dahmer, Richard Ramirez, and you had all these guys that were being active and coming up and popping up every which way around, I want to say like 85 to about like 90 something or so.
Okay.
But yeah, so it aligns well. The movie aligns well where it's like, yeah, that's when like a lot of the forensics what is it? Yeah, forensic science.
Sure.
Yeah. When forensic psychology, it was like really like, oh, we gotta step our game up because there's these people that are being active and doing a lot of this stuff. So time period wise, and then you have like having Jodie Foster being Agent Starling. Just noticing this, I'd never noticed this when I first watched it. When I first ever watched it. But just noticing like how everyone is significantly taller than her.
Yeah.
Mostly on the men's side, are just every time she's in a room, she's just being overpowered by all. Yeah, the height of everybody else.
The misogyny in the movie, I mean, is a real big theme where it's clear in any scene where Jodie Foster is interacting with another male actor, which is almost every scene. It's made clear that she is not part of this world and she is not welcome in this world. We see this especially when she and her boss go examine a body that was recently recovered in rural West Virginia.
Oh, with all the cops in the room.
Yeah, and she's kind of standing in this waiting room, and it looks like every cop is 1.5 feet taller than she is.
Yeah, I think from what I remember, I believe that was intentional.
Sure.
They went out specifically to find people that were significantly taller than her.
All right. We need we need an entire college basketball team to play these West Virginia police officers. But yeah, and we see it on the side of law enforcement, and we also see it in this really twisted way through Buffalo Bill's actions. Buffalo Bill, I mean, I think it's important to also mention, we can put a pin in this, but like, there is also this really, I don't know if this is the first horror movie, but I mean, it's an iconic movie to discuss, gender identity and, in a very specific way.
Yeah.
Just sort of like how that could affect, a villain in a story. I mean, I've heard people make jokes about, villains. Like James Adomian has an incredible
the gay villains
joke about how every Disney villain is at least a little gay.
Facts.
And go watch go watch. I'm sure he has video of it up.
Yeah.
But like, to see, so I had not seen. I don't know if I've seen before or since like that queer identity thing being discussed with a villain, and it is a bit of a ham-handed attempt to discuss like what it means to be trans.
Right.
I don't, but it was also in a time where there wasn't a lot of vocabulary around that. So
so you do have some, for anybody watching it of now, you do see it being of the time with the vernacular that they
they're not going to have a
use.
2024 understanding.
No. There's no dubbing over. So they're a trans person.
or when he asks Darling, instead when he asks, was she a great big fat person? He was like, was she a great big woman of size? Like they're not going to make. Yeah, there's some stuff that's like not. It's not cool to say it now, but like that's why it was made then and not now. We learn, we grow. Hopefully,
we evolve, we change.
Yeah, maybe we don't. Kill women of any size. Maybe we don't. Anyways,
there's nobody across the board.
But I think there's an internal, there's a misogyny going on because he's capturing women and just seeing them as objects.
Yeah.
And there's that battle that he has to go through. That the mother of the girl who's captured, who happens to be a senator.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what gives the story this sort of national news coverage. The battle between like seeing a woman as a human versus an object, and eventually it leads to his demise. But like it's I guess the times that I had seen it more recently, I was a much younger man, and maybe I had not thought a lot about what it's like to be a woman in those spaces, whether it's the FBI or a well.
Or a well.
Yeah.
The two places you can find women, FBI and a well.
But I mean, this isn't. I mean, if you like movies with women who have some great internal strength, this is a movie to see.
Yeah. Jodie, everybody across the board, I think, ended up winning Oscars for this entire thing, rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I can't speak highly enough of Anthony Hopkins' performance. He is, in my eyes, in that echelon of horror icons, like next to even Freddy, Jason, Chucky, and all these other things.
Mount Rushmore?
The Mount Rushmore, yeah, the Mount Rushmore of
scary
of
creatures.
slashers,
Yeah.
and monsters. But yeah, 5. It's not coming through. But 5. Oh, there we go. 5 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Writer. Best Writing of a adapted screenplay. So I mean, across the board, it's already. I can just say we do a whole rating system in terms of like how scary it is, just overall movie quality, and then where in this horror bargain bin you'd find it. But like across, I think it's safe to say that this is a 10 out of 10 like movie. In terms of that rating. Scary wise, I mean, kind of in the low numbers. I'd say like the tension and the performances I put it at a 3.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to reach a wide audience.
Yeah.
So I don't think when you say scary, are you talking about jump scares mostly, or are you talking about like a specific type of, or just all around?
I'd say all around, like even like for like just an average movie goer, like what kind of like in like a level of, just a level of. Well, I'm also, the scale is like 1 being Hotel Transylvania, 10 being like the scariest thing of all time.
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you think is like the scariest movie of all time for you?
I haven't found it yet.
You're
that's
your white whale?
That's my white whale. Yes. I'm going to capture that whale. But 10 out of 10, at this point, I would say one of the hardest movies recently that I watched. Jay Light recommended this movie called Skinamarink.
Skinamarink?
Skinamarink. It's on Hulu. It's a very, I want to say, experimental kind of horror film, whereas there's really no on-screen characters. It's all shot like someone just left a camera somewhere in a house.
Oh, okay.
And you just hear faint noises, just like someone whispering, but like at this volume.
Oh, okay.
And it's all in a house, dead at night. The lights are out.
So just over the course of like a single evening?
Yeah. So you're just seeing things like moving in the shadows, just because your brain naturally does that. So I'd put that close. I think I remember in that episode, I think I gave it like an 8 or a 9, just because it was very difficult it took me 3 tries to get through like the first 5 minutes.
Because it was
just so unnerving. Like I was just so uncomfortable. And I was able to get like my sisters to watch it with me, and we were watching it, and we were all like it's the entire movie is just like you're waiting for something to jump out of the shadows.
Right.
Nothing ever jumps out of the shadows. It is the biggest horror cock tease.
Okay.
But that kind of comes close.
Yeah.
to where I would give it like a solid 10 in the scary rating.
Yeah. Skinamarink sounds like a Swedish word for blue balls.
It I get the Skinamarink.
Yeah.
No, we tried all night. It was. I don't even think. What did you said?
Swedish.
Swedish.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that was Swedish.
No, I think you're in the right ballpark.
I felt more Danish.
Yeah.
You know the classic difference.
Yeah, and your audience is really attuned.
They're
to
gonna.
those differences.
Hey, Jules, that was Danish.
Yeah.
If I've ever heard
Yeah.
it.
Really appropriated a different Scandinavian culture.
Hi. In last episode, I made some mistakes. I didn't do my research and I didn't understand. But I want you to know that I'm learning.
I'm listening and I'm
I'm
learning.
listening and I'm learning.
Swedish people sound more like oomba boomba. Danish people do not have quite as sing-songy a voice. And I plan to grow from this.
That's a clip. That's a clip right there. That's great. Oh my god. With that said, I'm gonna bump it up. I'm gonna say 4 on the scary meter because again the performance really gets me, and I like the like he does not blink. I don't know if Anthony Hopkins never blinks when he's on camera,
Oh, I didn't think
but when
about
it's
that.
all close-ups, he does not blink.
Yeah. I don't think if he does, it's definitely minimal.
Yeah, and it's a very I find that very I already struggle with eye contact. So I find it very unnerving to have to Oh my god.
I see eyelids as a bit of a security blanket.
That's why my eyes are this big, Stuart. Like people are like, "Are your eyes open?" Yeah, they're open. What are you talking about? Yeah. Mhm.
This is for me. It's a nice filter.
Yeah. But where would you put it on the scary rating between 1 and 10?
No, I think a 3 or 4 is fine.
Mhm.
I was just curious, like what you like, because you have such a high barometer and you have such a wide swath of movies to choose from. What's really done it for you, and that
Right.
like at a high octane level? Because I mean, for me, it's gore is what kind of. I mean, I don't know if I define gore as like scary, but it is upsetting.
And yeah, and that I wouldn't put that like I it's gonna sound bad. I love gore.
No, it's fine. You're welcome
I love a good gore fest in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't equate that to like that makes peak horror or that makes it a scarier movie.
Like I remember seeing that movie House of Wax
Oh yeah,
in high school. I
the
think
Paris Hilton classic.
yeah, finally. Finally she
she got her due.
yeah.
After that whole struggling.
Yeah, I mean, when is she going to get a break? I mean there was like there was like a gory element to it because you see these people kind of like encased in wax, in case you couldn't put 2 and 2 together. They're waxing people live. And it's not a salon. So
No, they are not licensed.
yeah, there are no Brazilians in this bunch. So and then, there is that sort of scary element of like, okay, that would be really terrifying for me to have to experience that, or like the fact that once they're encased in wax, you can kind of just peel them and then you just kind of like cut them open and then they're just the science wasn't really all there, but that did freak me out, and I consider that to be a high level of scary for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that I have a limited sample size from the movies that I've seen. But yeah, I think 3 or 4 is fine for Silence of the Lambs. I mean, it's really just like it's like a psychological thriller.
Yeah. Again, it's leaving it up to your almost your imagination.
Yeah.
To put in the graphicness of the violence that's going on.
Yeah, and I think the pinnacle of the movie is probably like the peak scariness of it, because Buffalo Bill is wearing these night vision goggles that we see earlier in the movie when he makes his most recent kidnapping, and he's using him in his own house and I mean there. I don't know about you, but I there's part of me that kind of like questioned why he didn't just grab Clarice, because you see in this sort of greenish dark haze, we see her struggling, trying to find any light.
I think it goes back to him not seeing her as a person and just seeing her as like almost a plaything,
like a wind-up toy.
Yeah, like he's like it's kind of in the sense like something I can equate it to is like whenever I've worked on like a haunted house. In no way is my intention to hurt anybody or to even touch anybody.
Right.
But I'm going to play with them. I'm going to come at them. I'm going to poke and prod and get them to give me more reactions.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they're done, I let them move on. Right. I would feel it's the same way with how he's looking at it. Is just like, oh, like he's like admiring because he's been admiring all his victims because he wants to wear them as a skin suit.
Yeah, I mean he wants to. Yeah, he needs to sort of, there is some level of care that needs to take place in order for his mission to be accomplished.
Yeah. So I think a large part of it is him looking at her like I'm enjoying like kind of just playing with her and just kind of not really taking her out just yet.
Yeah, and then I guess he decides like, all right, well, we got to dispose of this bitch. And then
all right, fun's over.
Brings out his dirty hairy pistol. his absurdly large gun.
It is huge.
Yeah, I mean, Dirty Harry had a 44 Magnum. He has like at least a 48.
Yeah. It's a different. It's not even a 40. They added a few extra numbers on that.
So, but yeah, and it's amazing to see, that, man, it's just such a wild movie that, and I don't feel like a lot of movies are made that way. I don't know if other movies could be made this way, but I mean, I suppose things like Get Out are, Jordan Peele's movies are like in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
But to have these sort of characters kind of working at the top of their intelligence, there is merit to it, like a bimbo horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
What was that movie that I did see that movie, Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of like the intellectual capability of a group of people. Like everything dumb that they could have done, they did.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are people that are like doing the best they can to get their job done, whether it's, murdering heavyset ladies or taking down guys who murder heavyset ladies.
All right.
Am I missing anything in terms of like the queer discussion in a horror movie?
Well, I mean, like there is it's so funny because we're gonna re-record something. We had another schedule recording for today. We had a cancellation and reschedule that we had to do, but that one that we're talking about does kind of address this old trope idea of the vengeful lesbian in horror films.
Oh, okay.
There used to be this trope, and there's always been like horror and queer identities. I think have always been in like a weird mix in the early ages, and even now, like it's kind of been taking more of a stance of like, oh no, these characters or these situations or these subtexts are a bit more on the queer side. But there are like tropes. The one that I always remember, I think it's just the funniest, is the jilted lesbian lover who's coming to it's the husband. I get him out of the way. She's all mine. Right, and then it's this whole thing. There's weirdly several films that have this plot. I don't know what they are, but if you Google them, there's at least I think 3 movies with this exact plot.
Are they part of like a trilogy, or are they all?
No, I think they're just separate. They're just separate lesbian killer movies. But there is what's good is they do kind of not necessarily address or even like make or adjust at being like oh, he's not a transsexual, but Sterling, really, we should be saying trans person. They, you know, they're not doing that, but they do address like, no, he's not trans. That's not what this is.
Yeah, he thinks he is.
He
and
thinks
this
he
how
is.
He can express it.
It's whatever other mental illness he's going through.
Yeah.
But it has nothing to do with any kind of actual queer identity.
Right.
So that is a little bit of, I would say, the criticism, like coming from I guess an LGBT standpoint.
Sure.
That would be a little bit of the criticism, is that it's a slight misinterpretation of trans, but at the same times, it's not really, because they do address that. No, he's not.
Yeah, they mentioned that like this is just something he's going through because he experienced some other trauma, and this is how his coping mechanism is manifesting itself.
So it's a weird tightrope balance in terms of, because because no matter what, people will look at it as like, no, he's, you know, dumb people will look at it and be like, no, that's a trans character. Yeah, that's they're monsters, whatever.
Yeah.
But then, you know, just be like, there's literally a scene where they say, no, that's not the case.
Yeah, it's just it's not as fun a scene.
No.
as seeing him tuck his dick between his legs.
Still a great scene.
No, just iconic, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you hear that Q Lazarus song, you will think of that movie.
There's only one dance move to it, and it's just all hip swaying.
Yeah.
Legs together.
Yeah.
Would you fuck me?
Yeah.
I'd fuck me.
Yeah.
Is she a great big fat person? I remember I remember seeing the movie and then not seeing it for a long time. And I remember Doug Benson used to always have this joke where he would always just talk about that guy, the actor
Ted Levine.
And his voice
Yeah.
in the movie. And he would always make a joke, and he'd always do like this voice, and I'm like, okay, well, he's Doug Benson is over at Dramata. Then rewatching it right now or recently, I'm like, holy shit, his voice is like crazy. Like, hey, could you? I'm just trying to get this. I'm just trying to get this couch in my van.
Yeah.
You get in my van first.
Yeah.
I push it all the way back. Hey, are you a size 14?
What? No. Precious. I mean, he does also have like the more like effeminate tone where it's like, it puts the lotion in the basket.
Oh,
like that. And, but when
it's like almost like he's extending his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I need to physically get away from my weird throat to talk like a normal person and not like
I need to get away from my weird throat.
A Decepticon that's sinking into a swamp.
Lord Megatron, help!
Hey, Lord Megatron, I'm stuck in this I'm
in this bog.
It's real musty over here. I'm just kind of sinking. My catalytic converter's gone now. Oh no.
Bummericon. Just die already. Okay, Megatron.
Bummertron.
Okay, Autobots.
Yeah, just
can I join you guys? You know, we're full up, but thank you. I guess there's not much. Wait, there's not much. Oh, God damn it! There's more to us than meets the eye. There's not much to me than meets the eye. God, I fucked it up.
Yeah, he's kind of. He does have like an Eeyore quality to him.
Yeah, Eeyore just had it.
Yeah.
I think I'm just gonna kill women now.
I can't get this house up, so I'm just gonna put people down. Jesus Christ. Stuart, before we wrap this up, thank you again so much.
Thanks for having me.
What kind of night would you say would be the ideal night to check this movie out? What would be like the ideal horror movie night? Would you say?
I mean, in terms of like watching this in like with other movies,
or just like what's the ideal like time,
set and
place,
setting?
Yeah, set and setting.
I mean, to give you context, if you're late like me, middle of the afternoon is a really great time to watch it. I think you could watch this. I think it'd be interesting to watch it in like a cabin in, that's by like a wooded area, because a lot of this takes place in the gray daytime in wooded areas.
Yeah.
Like only a little of this movie actually happens at night. So I mean, if you really want, if you've been to the middle of Ohio, that's what a lot of it looks like. So, if you want to see it there, I think that would be good. If I think, but as we talked about, this is not like a really high octane, gory horror movie. There's little snippets of that. So if that is gonna be the selling point for you, you get a little taste of it. It scratches that itch, but you get to, I would watch this, in a cabin with a loved one. Watch it with your friends. Be ready for it to, not be a bunch of bimbos. So I mean, like if you're looking for bimbos, they ain't here. But like, I mean, I think in a cabin in the woods with like a pot of coffee is like kind of how I envision enjoying this movie, because like these people are on it. These are detectives that are doing their best.
Yeah.
These are serial killers that are at like the height of their game, doing what they do best.
They've been working all season, but they're putting in the work now.
Yeah, there's only one rookie and she graduates.
She goes pro.
Yeah,
she did it, guys.
Yeah,
she made it.
Yeah, and I'm here for it. So yeah, that's kind of how I envision it. Like Cabin in the Woods is kind of like a way to see this.
Okay. And then for the show, we have kind of our horror bargain bin of movies, and we have kind of a ranking system for that.
Okay.
The top is kind of reserved for the go-tos, the no-brainers. You got your Scream, Evil Dead, some of the classics. The second tier, we got some good, not great, but good movies, some hidden treasures maybe. Just below that, you got it's okay, and then just below that, you got the movie should never see the light of day.
Have you had a few of those lately?
We've had one. And I'm confident I found number 2.
Great.
The movie that we had, I'm not gonna. I already give it away with that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think one of the movies we have scheduled, I just watched, and I'm like, this is really bad, but it's so entertaining.
Some things are so bad it's good.
It's so bad. Again, you can find some quality in the bottom of the bin. But they're still bad.
Yeah, as much
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. That's one that we did, and that one I put at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. It's an odd premise, and I haven't seen that one, but it doesn't seem.
Yeah, it's based off a book. It's the person who wrote.
It's based on a true story.
It's based on a true story. Real history.
From the people who did their own research.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of felt.
Ivermectin Studios presents.
What was the Civil War about? Vampires. That's what it was. Yeah. The guy who wrote that also wrote Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
That makes sense.
And they also made that into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Also terrible. I spent money on that movie, and I regret it.
I feel like those movies would be better like graphic novels than they would.
They
be
probably. It's just it was at least the Pride and Prejudice one. It was more. I gotta do this one because it is. I gotta find someone who likes Jane Austen novels. But it was a lot more Pride and Prejudice, and maybe 20% zombies.
Just like a background character.
Basically, they're just like, just in the field. I'm coming to eat you.
Okay,
I'll be there in a fortnight. They still talk all.
Yeah, they're still
Would it be so kind if I ate your brains?
Yeah.
Not today. Very well, madam.
Yeah.
Sir!
I am ever so famished. Almost ceaselessly so.
That's going on the list. We're doing, guys. We got to figure out when to do Pride and Prejudice and zombies. It's gonna happen.
I'm sure you'll find a way.
I'll find somebody. I do want to talk about this.
Yeah.
But in terms of the bin, I
gotta say. I gotta say this is a go-to.
Yeah.
It's. I struggle to find things that are wrong with this movie. I mean, aside from like, from a revisionist history perspective of like, yeah, they could have talked about, queerness a little bit more from a psychiatric perspective, or even just from a social perspective, a little bit more, in a more nuanced way. But it was came out in 91.
Yeah.
We're just, they were
gay people were barely a thing.
I mean. Probably barely recognized as a thing. Yeah, and Jodie Foster is a gay icon now.
Oh yeah.
But so if you want to watch it just for that, have fun.
Yeah.
But it's top to bottom. It's a really solid movie with really solid acting, and there's a believable element to it, and there's suspense to it, and I struggle to think of a better like cinematic horror movie aside from movies like Alfred Hitchcock's movies.
I agree. Like we were talking, I kind of talking earlier. Like it's Psycho and this have they're not straight horror in a sense. They're more thriller suspense.
Yeah.
But they do have that energy and that feeling that evokes like this is scary. This is terrifying.
Yeah,
like I said, Anthony Hopkins is he's made this character iconic.
Mm-hmm.
The look is iconic. The mask, the cell, him standing there. So many things about him. Fava beans, everything.
Yeah,
I
can't drink Chianti the same way.
I can't. I haven't had beans since. And I'm Mexican.
I'm fighting words.
But I agree with you. This is a top of the bin, easy go to. Like you said, I think it definitely is for someone who is looking for more of a not even just as something that's going to scare you or tense you up, but something that is going to stimulate you intellectually.
Yeah, something heady.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just those parting words of Jodie Foster's character is like Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter.
Dr. Lecter.
And
come now, Stalin.
Yeah, and what a great way to like close out movies like I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
so good. You leave going Hannibal.
If they played like like a sitcom, like doom 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 doom, like the Seinfeld bass line.
Just a freeze frame.
Yeah.
The audience clap.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh man! But with that, Stuart, thank you again so much for being on the episode on this podcast.
I had a
really
blast.
appreciate it. You got your camera you got your camera there.
Mm-hmm.
You got a camera here, or well, you got both cameras there.
Yes.
But let the people know where they can find you, what you got going on.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And if you thought anything I said was funny, I have a whole comedy special that's right here on YouTube. Right here, like we're
right here on YouTube.
We live in YouTube. That's part of the.
Check your local listings.
Yeah. It's in the back of the TV guide. So yeah, right on YouTube. It's called Conditional Love. It's 15 years of work that I put in to make this, and it's something that I crowdfunded, I self-produced. It's a real labor of love, and I recorded it at one of my favorite venues, the Punchline in San Francisco. And I think the jokes are great. If you're really into horror, watch something else. if you're not, if you like horror just a little bit, I think you'll be right into it. So, but yeah, that's what I'm working on, and you can also find it on my website, StuartThompsonComedy.com, or go to my socials at Stuart B. Thompson, Stuart with a U. And it's available through all those avenues, and most importantly, the special is free.
Yay!
It costs nothing to watch it. If you liked it, give it a like, leave a nice review, nice comment, give me a follow. Those all cost nothing. But if you really do like partying with your money, I can help you out with that. So just give me a ring.
Awesome, bud. Yeah, definitely give it a watch. Very, very funny special.
Thanks, man.
You guys can find me on all the things, Julian F. Comedy, julianfcomedy.com for all my show dates and tour dates and everything. Follow this podcast at Horror Bin Pod on all the things, mostly Instagram, but we will get TikTok up and running, but who knows, that might not be around. Who knows? We'll figure it out. But Horror Bin Pod on all the socials. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you guys thought of the movie. Let us know what movies you want us to cover and add to the bin. And who knows, your suggestion might be featured on a future episode. But you never know. But Stuart, thank you again so much for being on. Really appreciate it.
I had a blast. Thank you, Jules.
Thanks, bud. And everybody, as we always say at the end of every episode, is she a great big fat person? Bye.